Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. What I'll be sharing today with you will be the costs that I had when moving to here to Munich, because I just recently moved to Munich less than 2 months ago together with my girlfriend Anna, and we'll just focus exactly on how much does it cost to really move to Munich and how much money should you have saved up in order to forecast how much can it cost to rent an apartment, including the deposit and so on. So we went from Barcelona to Munich, and instead of taking the flight, which would have been probably what most people would have done, we actually came by car because we wanted to take our bikes, our skis, because we love skiing in winter, something that we haven't been able to do because of the corona thing. But yeah, overall we just took the car because we had like just a bunch of things that we wanted to take with us, and we drew around 1,500 kilometers to come here to Munich. So the total cost that we had was counting gasoline, the tolls, and also a little sticker that we had to buy for the car, because here in Munich all the cars need to have the environmental stickers, which we had to buy, of course, and the total amount of that was 252 euros and 64 cents. Perfect, so now we're in Munich, but of course we need to sleep somewhere. So before coming here to Munich, we were looking for about a month for apartments, and it's actually super hard. There's very few offer of apartments, and instead there's a very big demand of both like people like me who are just moving to Munich, but also like of course locals who are maybe moving and switching from apartment to apartment and so on. So overall it's a very hard market, and of course the prices are quite high. And actually, just for your information, Munich is the most expensive city within Germany, so that's something as well to take into account. The platforms that we were looking for apartments at before coming here were Immobilien Scout 24 and Mr. Lodge. These are the two that I recommend you. Immobilien Scout, it's actually, you will find much cheaper apartments overall. Also, there's a lot of competition there. And Mr. Lodge, they have a very nice service. You get replied to any request you put on any apartment, but the prices are just much higher. I think that the cheapest one we were seeing for two people were around 1,300, 350 euros, everything included. All the bills are included within Mr. Lodge, which is very nice, but it's also quite expensive. While with Immobilien Scout, maybe it's not so expensive. Another thing important to mention is that we were looking for apartments 1 month before, but we didn't get anything, which means that for the first 2 weeks we booked in home exchange. I have another video talking about it, so if you want, you have it here above. But it's basically kind of like an Airbnb, so we were staying for 2 weeks in an Airbnb, and then we were trying to look for another apartment to stay. And we finally managed to be able to see 3 apartments, more or less to get kind of a small overview, because it's also very hard to get appointments for apartments. And just a bit of summary, we saw one very small apartment in a not very nice area for 1,000 euros a month, everything included, but it was just like super small, like a tiny room from a hotel. So this was not really a place we saw as living in, and I consider myself a minimalist. Like, I don't need much to live in, and I try to spend as little as possible, but that was just maybe a bit too much. Then we saw one apartment, which is the apartment we are currently in, which I will go into the price later, but we ended up taking this one because the other one we saw was a bit more expensive and also a bit farther away from the area where we wanted to live. So how much did we spend overall with our apartment? First, it's very important to highlight, there are 2 to 3 things when booking an apartment, of course. The price, the monthly price of the apartment, that sometimes it's with everything included, sometimes not, but yeah, basically the rent of the apartment. Then you usually need to leave a deposit, and here in Germany there are some kind of like associations or real estate associations that manage several apartments, and sometimes you need to pay for a fee to enter this association and be able to rent one of their apartments. And that was the case for this apartment. So basically, just for your information, we spent on the membership that I was just speaking about 2,394 euros. That's just like something you pay at once, or we could choose to divide it within 3 years and just pay a little bit every month, but we saved money by just paying everything at once. and this you don't get it back. Like you literally pay it. It's like the membership of the gym that you just paid, and like yeah, you never get it back. Second thing was the deposit. How did this work? We purchased, instead of just leaving some money there, we actually purchased some shares of this rental agency that is managing the apartment, and the shares were purchased for a total price of 2,850 euros. And this is something that is working as a deposit, and then ideally, if everything is fine, then we will get them all back in the future. And the cool thing about these shares is that of course they can grow in value, but also like we get dividends if the company performs well, which for what we were told, they had been giving dividends for the past years. I'm not sure now whether we will get dividends or not because of the whole corona situation, but it's something that we will have to see. And third and final thing is the rent. In our case, we pay the rent total of 1,228 euros for everything included. Also, it's very important to mention that this apartment is totally furnished. So we have washing machine, we have like a sofa, the bed, I don't know, the fridge, everything is there. Which is something as well to consider because there are many apartments that you can rent, and I didn't mention that before. But there are many apartments without a kitchen, which basically they are renting you the apartment. Maybe it costs you like, I don't know, 800 euros, but you need to build the kitchen, and that it maybe costs like 5,000 euros or something. So we are actually pretty happy with what we ended up getting. It's a super cozy apartment. Maybe in another video we will do a bit of a tour of the apartment we are currently living in. But now at least you have an overall of how much did it cost us to move here to Munich. And I think that the price we pay for the apartment is not especially expensive. Maybe it's not the cheapest one that you can find out there. But then if you end up taking into account that we have the Wi-Fi, water, gas and so on paid, I don't know if you really can save more than maybe 100 euros every month. I would say maybe maximum of 200 euros by renting a normal apartment, maybe not subsidized by the government, because there are also apartments subsidized by the government. But overall, I think that we paid a fair amount considering that it's Munich. And also another thing that I didn't mention of the apartment is that we are not in the city center. I personally don't like cities very much. I'm more of a countryside person, so we are living a bit on the outskirts of Munich, which is also something that maybe helps into not paying so much. But here in Munich as well, it's very easy to move around with public transport and so on. So actually within 20 minutes by S-Bahn, we are at the city center of Munich, which is also pretty nice. Besides everything that I have just mentioned, we couldn't resist and we went to IKEA, which by the way, it's not that far from where we live here in Munich. And we bought some stuff, mainly because maybe we needed bed sheets or the curtains. They were horrible before, so we changed those, and just a bit of cutlery and some items just for the day-to-day of the apartment that we were missing. And we spent on that 284 euros, on buying small things. We really didn't think that we would get to that much, but this is considering that we have a furnished apartment. I mean, we have cloth pegs, we have like glasses, everything is here. So these were only like maybe things that we were missing, but still we spent all of this. What this basically tells you is that you should also balance between, of course, getting an apartment not furnished and getting one furnished, because you might have to spend a lot of money. Maybe you don't have this membership fee that we had to pay, but maybe you have to buy a sofa, a table, put the kitchen there, some chairs, and lots of things that then add up and just make it maybe much more than what we spent. Overall, if we add everything up, including transportation, the rent of the apartment and everything I've mentioned, and our little visit to IKEA, we see that we spent a total of 7,009 euros and 56 cents. Just to clarify, this is only the cost of us coming here to Munich and getting an apartment. That's it. But it doesn't include anything else of your daily living that you need to survive, which is basically buying food, maybe moving around and so on. So all of that is not included here. You of course need to count on much more than this, but this was just a bit of an overview of the basics that you need to consider when moving here to Munich. Probably I will be doing another video in which I'll share with you exactly how much we're spending on a monthly basis now that we are already here and we know how much we're spending on everything. But so far, this is how much we spent just to come here to Munich. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more insights on how is it like to live in Munich. See you next video!